Welcome back. My name is Sarah Mesley. I'm a real estate broker in San Diego, California. And today I am not going to talk about real estate. I want to answer some questions that I got on a previous video. On a previous video, I made a brief comment about some of my high yield savings accounts and why, if you're looking to kind of like diversify, I had mentioned it in particular regarding people who are considering selling a property that they have in California instead of renting it out. Like, let's say they have to leave the state or they want to leave the state. We were talking about the risks associated with renting a property out in California. And I had mentioned, if you're going to be making a whole boatload of cash and you're moving to a different state and you're not quite sure that you want to buy there yet, you want to rent, my comment was that it would be important to invest that money somewhere, like in a high yield savings account might be a good example of where you'd want to consider, as opposed to just putting it in a traditional bank and making like a couple pennies per month. So, I did get a lot of questions about the high yield savings account specifically. Have found that a lot of people are not aware that options like this even exist. And this is why I'm telling you, you do not have to have a ton of money, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, in order to really benefit and make decent money out of having a high yield savings account. So it is important to find one that is FDIC insured just for your safety. But I actually moved almost all of my money, not all of it, but a lot of my savings and different funds and all of that from Chase, from a regular bank, about a year and a half ago over to Raisin. So that's where I bank for most of my savings accounts now. What I like about it is you can kind of, once you log on and become, I don't want to say a member because there's no fee, there's no cost associated with signing up. It shows you all of these different banking options there, and then you can open multiple different bank accounts all within Chase. So it's a nice, all within Raisin. So it is a nice way to like log on and see all of your different accounts at once, as opposed to having to log into a bunch of different banks separately. And then the nice thing is you can see how high the interest rates are. So just giving an example here, this tells you like if you were to put $50,000 into one of these accounts, this is the current interest rate. And then this is the approximate, what you could expect to make in about a year just by having your money sit there. One thing to understand is these are not CDs. They do have CD options, both ones that have no penalties and more of like a traditional CD. But for me, I personally choose a high yield savings account that I can access anytime, move things around if I want. I just feel more flexible that way. One of the comments that I got on the previous video was that, hey, you're not telling people that they are going to be taxed on that money. And they were right. I did not remind people that you are going to be taxed on income. So this is income earned. You're going to be taxed. Now, I will say, I think it's really important to still own real estate wherever you own it, because there are different tax benefits that come along with owning real estate as well. So I think it's important to have a variety, to have some real estate, maybe some rental properties, maybe at least just your primary, and then also to have some high yield savings accounts, because you have to remember, unlike when you sell a house, let's say you've lived in that property two out of the last 5 years and you're getting this capital gains exemption, you are not getting that when it comes to like this high yield savings account. So yes, if you're starting to make a bunch of money on your high yield savings account, do set aside some for taxes. When I moved over my money from Chase, I was shocked because I really wasn't paying attention to it, if I'm honest, at least to like how much it was growing. It was just one of those things like, hey, making sure everything's paid and yep, that's about how much I have. I'm good. And when I actually like logged in and started doing my own bookkeeping instead of hiring someone to do it, I noticed that like even on a decent amount of money, I was literally making 2 cents per month at Chase. Like that's not a joke. I was making 2 cents per month. Now I'm making over $1,000 a month on just by having my money in various high yield savings accounts. It is important to understand that when you sign up for one, it is not like you are not locking in that interest forever. So as the market changes, these rates will change. I've had some that were 5.25. They went down a little bit closer to 5. They can go down, they can go up, but you have to also be the one that is watching them, that's responsible for being in charge of it. And if you're not happy with what they're offering, you can close that account or you can move that money. And the nice thing about Raisin is I'm getting an email anytime the rate changes, whether it's positive or negative. So I'm really like keeping an eye on it. And sometimes I'll get these emails that's like, hey, your rate just went up. That is really, really cool. I do have a code for Raisin if you're thinking about signing up. Again, there's no fees associated with it. It is just like a platform that helps you to open these high yield savings accounts. I found it easy to transfer my money from my traditional bank over to Raisin and then even back and forth when I want to, make a purchase from that account or whatever. I do have a code that will help you get some bonus cash if you qualify. It's basically like a referral code, and they'll give you a bonus if you put a certain amount in it. I don't know the details. We'll put it all on here. But it's also important to me that I let you know that this is something that I've been using for like almost 2 years before even having a code or talking about it. So it's a really, really great product. I highly recommend it if you're someone that's like, just, you have whatever you have in the bank and you're not like, you're kind of, let's say you're risk averse. I find myself to be somewhat risk averse. Like, you don't want to make these huge investments. Like, maybe you don't want to buy commercial real estate, or you're afraid of even having a rental property, but you still want your money to be growing. That is something that I find to be very safe, in my opinion. And of course, you can talk to your financial advisor, your CPA, whatever professionals you want to talk to about it, because I'm a real estate broker, but I'm just telling you something from my experience of what seems to be working for me. So let me know, do you have a high yield savings account? Are you using Raisin or a different platform, and how are you liking it? Or are you still banking with kind of the traditional banks? Let me know what questions you have, whether it's about this or, of course, about real estate. I am happy to help.